3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
From the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is already a Wednesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, and as always, streaming on YouTube. 888-710-4ISN, that's 888-710-4476. That's the number to jump on board. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. Ryan Hot Take Hickey is going to be joining us in studio 40 minutes from now. Chris Denari, who is the Pacers TV announcer, he's going to stop by at 4:20 p.m. Eastern time as well. So we got a whole lot to talk about. We'll get into the craziness from the association last night. As you did see the Cleveland Cavaliers, we thought they were going to win that game, it looked like, even though I was not optimistic going in with all the injuries. And then the Pacers, especially with Haliburton, he does snatch victory from the jaws of defeat And then you also got to see the Warriors win a game, but Steph Curry got injured in the second quarter. The Warriors still did go on to defeat the Minnesota Timberwolves and take that 1-0 series lead. But then for game 2, it looks like we will not have the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry. So a whole lot to get to. We'll do a ton of the hoops today. But we got to start off with a little football. Because I rolled over this morning, and I don't usually like to look at my phone the first thing in the morning. But some days, like, you don't even realize that you're about to look at your phone. You're just so programmed. Oh, I wake up. Alrighty, I got to grab the phone and I got to open up the internet and just see things. And when I did that this morning and I went to Twitter, I saw a photo of George Pickens. And I thought it was photoshopped. I thought it was fake. I didn't think it was. I just saw George Pickens in a Cowboys jersey. And I go, oh, okay, there was a little momentum for George Pickens late last night going to the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe it's just because how many times do you go on Twitter and you see 30 hours ago, this tweet was up there or something like that. And I just scrolled past it and didn't think much of it. And then I got up, I went to the bathroom, came back to my bed, looked back at my phone, and then I saw post after post after post about George Pickens. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, something had to happen. And then I got the alert that, George Pickens got traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the drama Dallas choking Cowboys. And the details eventually did come out where the Cowboys get Pickens and a 2027 6th-round pick. And the Steelers get a 3rd-rounder and a 2027 5th-round pick. So they swap 2027 picks, and the Steelers get a 3rd-round pick, and the Cowboys get George Pickens. I'll tell you, there's going to be a lot of noise. There's going to be a lot of reaction about this deal. You have 2 organizations, 2 iconic franchises, 2 gold standard franchises in the National Football League of the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers making a trade. And let's be real. What is it really accomplishing? I don't think there's a winner or a loser in this trade. But I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and I say, all right, you're probably going to bring in Aaron Rodgers. You made the move to get DK Metcalf. You paid DK Metcalf. And I could sit here and say, maybe they should run it back with George Pickens, final year of his contract, make him prove his worth this year. But it's been abundantly clear through multiple times last season that Mike Tomlin, whether he said it or not, did no longer think that the juice was worth the squeeze when it came to George Pickens. And I don't blame Mike Tomlin. I don't. George Pickens is a good wide receiver. George Pickens is not Randy Moss. He's not Jerry Rice. He is not Terrell Owens. He thinks, though, he is a legendary wide receiver. At times, he shows you some flashes that he could be a number 1. But a lot of other times, he looks like a number 2. He is an in-betweener. He's a 1.5. You know, when Juju Smith-Schuster was in Pittsburgh, there were times where we looked at Juju and we said, oh, he could be a 1. And then other times, he's really more like a 2. And then when Juju got out of Pittsburgh, what did he really accomplish? Jack bleep, if we're being honest. And do I think George Pickens is better than Juju Smith-Schuster? Yes. But George Pickens is his own worst enemy. Because there are games where George Pickens blows up on the sideline for no reason. And I understand passion. I understand a desire to be great. I understand you want to have high expectations, and you should want to have high expectations. Because the Steelers' standard and the Steelers' way, it has fallen. But for George Pickens, when remember that game when Kenny Pickett was the quarterback and he couldn't get that second foot down inbounds in the end zone? You can't have this energy of me, get me the ball, and not be an elite player. And that's why I really think the Steelers, who have had their fair share of issues with wide receivers that have been royal pain in the asses, and let's be real, George Pickens, I understand he's not as much of a malcontent as Antonio Brown. That's an obvious statement, but he's nowhere close to the football player that Antonio Brown was for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I understand in some regard the Steelers saying, we're good. We're not giving him a future contract. So if the best we could get is a 3rd-round pick, okay, we'll take it. Goodbye, George Pickens. But for this upcoming football season, this doesn't help the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, you get an issue out of your locker room, but in terms of talent, where is this team going? And let's assume that Mr. Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers, walks in to the Pittsburgh Steelers neighborhood, and he is their quarterback. All right? I think that's going to happen. You can never give the benefit of the doubt to Mr. Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers. But let's just assume that Aaron Rodgers is going to be their quarterback. Do you think with 1 year left in his career, probably that Aaron Rodgers is fired up that they traded George Pickens today? Maybe he is, because then probably Alan Lazard finds his way to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Aaron Rodgers thinks Alan Lazard is like this Hall of Fame wide receiver, and he's the farthest thing from that. But the Steelers, they're at like a dead end. They really are. Like, this is an organization, if you talk to any Steelers fan, what will they tell you? 6 Super Bowls, most Super Bowls, tied for the most Super Bowls ever. We're a great organization. We're a great team. Since 2016, this team has been fine. They've been competent, right? There's other teams that would like to have your success, but there's certain success with the Steelers. And the Steelers' way is what? Like, when I grew up, what did you associate the Steelers with? Getting to the playoffs and having a chance to actually win the Super Bowl. And I know in my lifetime, the Steelers only won 2 championships. Before that, they won a lot more. And there's some Steelers fans that saw all those championships throughout the years. But the Steelers, like, if you were, I don't know, born in the last 10 years, the Steelers have completely lost their way. Because they're not pathetic. They're not brutal. They don't finish below 500 under Mike Tomlin. But this has been a team, their last playoff victory was in the 2016 season. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. We have 8 regular seasons. 8 regular seasons. And the Pittsburgh Steelers haven't found a way in one of those regular seasons where they've gotten into the postseason to then go win in the first round, or if they had to buy the second round. Right? They haven't had a playoff victory. They haven't had a playoff victory in 8 seasons. This is not Stu's Raiders. This is not Santer's Jets. These are the Pittsburgh Steelers. So don't get me wrong. I understand that George Pickens, he is a problem. He's not as great as what he thinks. He doesn't believe his you-know-what doesn't stink, all right? But that's a guy that the Steelers are saying the juice isn't worth the squeeze. I understand it. But you're taking away a talented player, and you're still probably going to be going down this road where the Steelers make the playoffs and they're out in the first weekend. Now, does Pickens guarantee you, hey, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win a playoff game this year? No. But if you're bringing in Aaron Rodgers, don't you think you would have as many good weapons as possible, even if it means putting up with another year of George Pickens, then letting him walk at the end of the year and maybe getting a compensatory pick back for him? If I'm a Steelers fan, I understand why they got rid of Pickens. I'm not irate. I'm not livid. Like, I get it. I've criticized the guy a ton. But with what they got back, which is, right, it's fine. I didn't expect him to get anything back more than that. He was a second-round pick. And you're trading him on the final year of his contract, so I didn't think you were getting him back a second. Maybe you could put some conditions in there if he re-signed, if you really want to get technical, if that's how they could have improved the deal. So I understand letting him go. But with what they got back, even though it's a fine return, if I'm a Steelers fan, which I'm not, waving that terrible towel, I would rather have Pickens, even with his problems, on my team this year compared to just dumping him off to the Cowboys. Now, Jerry Jones, you're a dog. You are. Jerry, job well done. Because let's be real. We talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers losing their way, and we talk about them being just a good product, but the farthest thing from being very good or great and not winning a playoff game in the last 8 seasons. The drama Dallas choking Cowboys. Is there a player that better fits them right now than George Pickens? He's all about the drama. It's all about the personality. It's all about himself. And we know the drama Dallas choking Cowboys. They have not got to an NFC championship game or have won a Super Bowl or been to a Super Bowl since the 1995 season. It's been a long, long, long time. The Steelers, though, here's the difference. They're actually trying to win. The Cowboys are just trying to create drama. And the Cowboys, they've been telling you, we're going to be selectively aggressive. Last year it was, we're all in. They were all out. This year it's going to be selectively aggressive, and they were doing nothing. And they finally did something. So I respect Dallas for what they gave up and making this move. And I think it's a fine trade. I get it from Pittsburgh's side. You want to move on, even though I would have kept him for another year. And I get it from the Cowboys side. You need a little extra punch. You need a little extra flair. But really, this is what I'm learning. The last 12 minutes, folks, the bosses may not like that I'm about to say this. Samter may not like that I'm about to say this. Stu may not like that I'm about to say this. But the last 12 minutes breaking down this trade is a gigantic waste of time. And you want to know why it's a gigantic waste of time? It's football. I get it. We got to talk football. Right? I love football. I don't know in the history of this network if anyone's loved football, college and NFL, more than me. I'm a football freak. I'm a football addict. I'm a football junkie. I could talk about this trade. I understand it from both sides. But where are we going? For both these teams. And that's the take to me, is these two once proud franchises, these two once great franchises, these two once legendary franchises that were associated and synonymous with Super Bowls are nowhere close. So sure, freak out if you're a Steelers fan. Oh, I hate to see George Pickens go. Or justified. I understand. Because the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Cowboys fans, oh yeah, it's wonderful. You get CeeDee Lamb, you get George Pickens, or, all right, you make a move, but does anyone trust Dak Prescott in a playoff game? All right, is Micah Parsons, he's probably going to be podcasting instead of doing more than playing in the postseason. And I'm not anti-Micah Parsons in the podcasting. It's just a funny line. But both of these organizations, they're nowhere close. And they're not embarrassing. Like, they may have embarrassing moments. When you lose in the wild card game, once again, embarrassing, but expected. For the Cowboys, Jerry Jones has more embarrassing moments. But usually both these teams, they get their 9-10 wins a season, right? They make the postseason, and they're quickly in, and they're quickly out. And that's what both these organizations have become. They have lost their way. They are not your grandfather's Steelers. They're not your granddaddy's Cowboys. They're not. And this new era of the Pittsburgh Steelers is, good job. You overachieved. You got to 10 wins. You got to 11 wins. Wild card weekend comes around, and it's quickly over. And then for the Dallas Cowboys, it's about the drama. That's what it's about. And yeah, you can make the playoffs. And you could have those Cowboys fans rush into the stadium, get to their seats, and go, how about them Cowboys? And then at halftime, what happens in the playoffs? We get sad Cowboy fans. You get Jerry Jones looking like he doesn't know what just hit him. You get Chris Christie in an ugly sweater, just looking like a sad, large person. You get the Cowboy guy and the Cowboy girl, all right, sitting in the stands on the 50-yard line, and the honey, it has her hand around her man's and is just sitting there as the man's is crying on honey's shoulder. That's what's happening. So neither of these teams stink. Neither of these teams are horrible. Neither of these teams are brutal. There's a lot more worse teams than the Cowboys and the Steelers, but they made a trade. In reality, is it going to change much for the Cowboys this year? Is it going to change much for the Steelers this year? No and no. Why? Because both these teams have allowed their organizations to get to a level where they haven't been seriously competing for a Super Bowl and contending for a Super Bowl in a long, long time. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. So if you want me to just quickly summarize my opinions on this trade, who gives a bleep? All right? The Cowboys, They could be a playoff team this year. We're never going to look at them at playing an NFC championship game. The Steelers, they could be a playoff team this year. Maybe at best, they win a playoff game. I'm not expecting it, though. They haven't done in the last 8 seasons. So, yes, a move was made. Yes, it's an interesting move. Yes, I can understand both sides of it. But ultimately, what are you playing for? Because when I hope my team takes the field, I hope they play for championships, right? Steelers ain't playing for a championship anytime soon. The Cowboys ain't playing for a championship anytime soon either. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Steph Curry has a grade 1 hamstring, according to a grade 1 hamstring strain, according to Shams Charania, and he's expected to miss at least a week. So the Warriors, they do win last night. But my takeaway from that game, with the uncertainty with the health of Steph Curry, now we get a little bit of clarity, was I thought that was an off night for Anthony Edwards and for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And that could be a little bit of a concern because, right, remember last year they were cruising. They get to the Western Conference Finals and they just didn't have it up against the Dallas Mavericks. But there's sometimes you lose a game one and you get shook. I would not be shook today if I'm a Minnesota Timberwolves fan. Now, you got to go win game 2. And you win game 2, you even up this series at 1 apiece. Then I think you'll go on to win this series. And you may end up winning this series rather quickly. But you look at Steph Curry. Now, he's expected to miss a week. Doesn't mean he definitely will miss a week. But today is Wednesday. So that means he would miss tomorrow. He would miss Saturday. He would miss Monday. And then there's a possibility, if it's a full week, that he's going to miss Game 5 as well, which would be on Wednesday, May 14th. So if you're the Golden State Warriors, I would think that bare minimum, and Stu, maybe I'm wrong here, bare minimum, I think you're probably going to be without Steph Curry for 3 games. Game 2, Game 3, Game 4, and at best case scenario, depending on how the series is going, then you can make an evaluation for that Wednesday in Game 5 a week from today. Now, the good part is Game 6 isn't until Sunday. So really, if you're the Warriors here, this is how I would approach it. You're up 1-0 in the series. I thought last night when Steph got hurt and didn't return after leaving in the second quarter, I thought, okay, you rest him. As long as you win this game, you rest him Game 2. That was my thought last night when we didn't really know what was going on. I said, we'll probably get a little clarity tomorrow, but rest him for Game 2. Don't even play him. And then I thought he could be back for Game 3. But if this is the case that he's definitely going to be out or likely going to be out for 2, 3, and 4, and maybe 5, I think the way you approach it is you're up 1-0. You got to win 1 of the next 3. You win 1 of the next 3, you're tied up at 2-2, and then you could reevaluate where maybe Steph gives it a go on that Wednesday, May 14th, or you say, hey, we got one of the best players on the planet. We also got Jimmy Butler, and we got Draymond Green. Buddy Hield is playing well right now. So maybe we could find a way, if it's at 2-2, to steal that Game 5. If not, even if they're down 3-2, then you get Steph Curry back for a Sunday and Tuesday, which would be Game 6 and Game 7. But, Stu, if I'm the Warriors, the best thing that you could ask for right now, I think in a realistic term, with Steph Curry being out, is that you win 1 out of the next 3. You get this series tied up at 2 apiece, and hopefully he's not out for a full week and you can get him back on Wednesday, a week from today.
Yeah, before you even said it, that's kind of what I was thinking too. You get him back for 5 and just hope you're tied 2-2. And if that's the case, that's, best of 3, got to win 2 games with hopefully a healthy Steph Curry. You've got to like your chances.
If you had to do this for me, Stu, rank these teams 1 through 4 most likely to get to the NBA Finals out of the Western Conference. Thunder, Nuggets, Timberwolves, and the Golden State Warriors.
I would say Oh, wow. That's really tough. I would say I would still go Thunder 1, even though they lost game 1. I would now go Timberwolves 2.
Interesting.
And then I just I don't trust the Curry injury. It could linger. They could lose all these games. So I'll put them 4, and then I'll put the Nuggets 3.
What I'm starting to feel, and I hate to fade Anthony Edwards, because I would love to see Ant-Man in the NBA Finals. I would like to see Anthony Edwards. I don't know. For some reason, I'm a sucker for the small market finding a way to get a championship. Because when Anthony Edwards was drafted out of Georgia, people were critical of Anthony Edwards. People didn't know how great he could be. I find Anthony Edwards to be very entertaining. And he's also, I'm not anti-big market. Obviously, I live in New York, right? And I root for the Patriots, too. So it's like, I love a big market. But I am a sucker if I don't have a dog in the fight. Like, if my teams can't win. I think it's cool when a small market wins a championship. Like, I thought it was pretty cool a few years ago when the Bucks won a championship with Giannis Antetokounmpo. And if Anthony Edwards could bring a championship to Minnesota, I think it would be very neat. But I'm starting to get a little concerned that whoever wins the Golden State series up against the Timberwolves, I don't even know if it matters. Like, if the Thunder get through, and they get through a team like the Denver Nuggets with a championship pedigree, right, with the best player on the planet, and it ain't even close, with Nikola Jokic, if they get through that team, I think that's a confidence builder where then they could find a way to beat up an injured Warriors team and then a Minnesota Timberwolves team where even though Anthony Edwards is a stud, I think that's a moment where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander really goes, hey, remember, I'm the MVP of the league this year. You know, throw some respect on my name too. And if the Denver Nuggets find a way to get to the Western Conference Finals, you want to talk about a team that's playing with nothing to lose? Like, Denver already won a championship. All the air went right out of the balloon once they got rid of Michael Malone and Calvin Booth. And this is an organization and this is a team that they know they got the best player on the planet. You know Jamal Murray when healthy is clutch. Aaron Gordon is solid. We'll see what the health status is of Michael Porter Jr. Are they an incredibly deep team? No. But if this turns into an individual star, right? Like, you look at the Thunder, you think of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You look at the Warriors, you think of Steph Curry. You look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, you think of Anthony Edwards. You look at the Nuggets, you think of Nikola Jokic. If there's a player in the league that could put the team on his back, make everyone around him better, and basically be a player coach to go win an NBA championship, it's Nikola Jokic. There is no doubt about that. So I know it's early, and this is subject to change, but right now, if you had to ask me odds to get to the Western Conference Finals, or the championship, the NBA Finals out of the Western Conference, I would say 1 OKC. I would still give them the edge. 2 Denver. And then I would go Minnesota 3. And now because of the injury to Steph Curry and him potentially missing 3 to 4 games, I would say the Golden State Warriors in F4. Also, how about Tyrese Haliburton last night? Oh, my God. So, I've always thought it was ridiculous that people said he's overrated. Because I don't think anyone was ever saying, like, oh, he's great. But he's starting to show you in this postseason he's great. And last year, I know people talk about the injuries to the Knicks. He got to a conference final. He did. And then you take a look and you see this year with what he's doing right now, he is 2 wins away from going back to the conference finals. And there's something about winning a game where, isn't it kind of nuts? If the Pacers would have lost that game last night, what are we saying today? We're sitting there saying you had a golden opportunity. You had 3 big players out for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you couldn't find a way to get the job done. You know, shame on you, right? That's what you're kind of saying. But the Pacers last night, we've had some crazy endings the last few days. How they were able to pull a rabbit out of the hat was just absolutely ridiculous. It looked like that game wasn't even going to be close at the end. And then Haliburton misses that free throw, gets his own rebound, and then jacks up the 3, And if Bill Raftery was doing the game, you would say, ooh, onions, right? Or if Mike Breen was doing the game, it would have been a double bang. So here's how it sounded on the Pacers radio network. This was Tyrese Haliburton's game-winning three-pointer.
Second one is short, and it's rebounded by Haliburton. The Pacers have a timeout. Will they use it? No, they don't. Yes, they do have a timeout. 4 seconds to go. Haliburton for three! Three ball! Up top! Indiana by 1 and 1/10 seconds to go. Inbound. Merrill didn't get it off, and this rivals the Milwaukee finish.
It's better. It's in the second round. And I don't see how Cleveland comes back now. I know we've seen teams up 2-0 before and blow the lead, but now they're going back to Indiana. I think that series is over. I really do think that series is over between the Pacers and the Cavs. And, man, just disappointing that Cleveland, the injury bug caught up to them. Because that team, I saw them twice in a week span, right? It was when we were at the Final Four, and then I saw them again in New York. Twice in that 1 week span. That's a team that's just sensational from three and really fun with Kenny Atkinson. But geez, you want to talk about a team that had the victory in their hand and didn't know what to do with it? It was kind of like OKC the other night up against Denver, but it was actually even worse. It was actually even more improbable with what Cleveland did dropping that game last night to the Indiana Pacers. So that's the takeaways from the games last night. I think the Timberwolves will be fine. The Steph Curry injury is one, obviously, to monitor, with them probably missing the next few games. And then the Cleveland Cavaliers, I have nothing to try to uplift your spirits after dropping both those first two games at home. And we'll see what transpires tonight as the Boston Celtics look to even up that series up against the Knicks. And then you have OKC trying to even up that series up against the Denver Nuggets. Can any of those road teams take a 2-0 lead going back home like what the Cavs allowed to have happen to them to the Indiana Pacers last night? Hot Take Hickey joins us in studio next. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the Warriors won Game 1, but lost Steph Curry, the perennial All-Star, reportedly expected to miss at least a week with a grade 1 hamstring strain. The Oklahoma City Thunder were the NBA's best team in the regular season and never lost back-to-back games at all this year. They'll try to continue that trend tonight when they try to even things up with the Nuggets Game 2 in Oklahoma City, while the Celtics also looking to even their series with the Knicks before heading to New York after blowing a 20-point lead in Game 1. Baseball today, the Astros with a 9-1 lead over the Brewers in the top of the ninth. Jeremy Pena with a home run for Houston. Sonny Gray, 7 innings of 2-hit baseball right now in the ninth. Cardinals lead the Pirates by a score of 5-0. The Giants in front of the Cubs, 3-0 in the bottom of the fourth. And the Guardians scored all their runs in the sixth, 8 of them, to beat the Nationals by a score of 8-6, and that Cardinals game is now a final. George Pickens gone from Pittsburgh as he has been dealt to the Cowboys for a third-round pick and a swap of late-round picks. The Maple Leafs host the Panthers tonight, looking to go up 2 games to none of the defending champs, but goalie Anthony Stolar is out, and the Jets host the Stars in Game 1. I'm Rich Ackerman.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The piping hot takes of Ryan Hot Take Hickey do not, I repeat, do not reflect the views of the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
It's Hick at night Sunday, I'm combing our hair with moose gel and spray. The takes are so hot, 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 sometimes it's right, usually not. This best segment is coming up next, but you better watch out for the Hickey head. Hot takes and hair gel on a Sunday night. Hickey's dropping takes that probably aren't right. Dropping a teaser for what's coming up next, but you better watch out for the Hickey heads. Talking Penn State while Stu's smoking kush, but Hickey is always the number one mush. You will nicer and moist, might get more sober than Stu. We only joke of us, we like you, but I have to ask, is it true? Is your hair held together by pace and loop? Oh, Hickey's takes are coming up next, but you better watch out for the Hickey heads.
All right, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I thought this segment was going to come to an end because I thought Ryan Hot Take Hickey was going to have such a big ego now, as he's the new executive producer of the Writer Than You program, the Bill Writer extravaganza, which airs 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time on many of these same Infinity Sports Network affiliates. So I thought with Hickey having earlier hours on Wednesdays, he wouldn't stick around longer. So I reached out to Hot Take Hickey. Had to do some intense negotiations. And I said, instead of doing this on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern time, let's do it Wednesdays at 3:40 p.m. Eastern time. And I had to bribe Hickey with mousse and gel and some chicken fingers and some pasta and some peanut butter and jelly. It was intense negotiation, folks. But he has now agreed to do this segment every Wednesday at 3:40 p.m. Eastern time. And you have a big announcement, right? You have no clue what your announcement is.
I have no idea. Am I supposed to know what my own announcement is?
What are the new hours of the new show that you need to name? Because we can't call you Hick at Night anymore because you're no longer on in the night.
That is true.
What am I,
Sunday?
like, I'm your biggest supporter. I'm your best hype guy. You're like Pete Carroll right now at the 1 yard line. All right? Get the plug in. Come on.
Well, at least I got a ring on my finger for Pete Carroll at the Super Bowl. Yeah, Sunday afternoons, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern is the currently Hick at Night, soon to be changed to a better, more creative,
The Hot Take Hickey Show?
non-time regarded title.
You are, what are you, drunk right now?
No.
You good?
I am good.
Okay. Hot Take Hickey Show?
No. And
It's the Hot Take Hickey Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
No.
Why not? That's your best brand.
That's not who I know. I don't have hot takes.
It is who you are.
No, it is not.
Do you know how many times I get tweets? Did you hear what your boy said? Did you hear what Hickey said? Anytime now you have a prediction, I love that people tweet you, oh, now I know to fade it. Now I know what's going to happen. Embrace the brand, my friend.
I would just call it usually a coincidence that what I say and then what actually happens are two different things.
Okay.
Just bad timing, so.
Okay. By the way, I'm mad at your new boss, Bill Ryder.
Why?
Oh, he's calling you Trace. I think it's time that Bill adapts with the times, leaves Trace in the dust, and he calls you Hot Take Hickey.
Well, he actually, to be fair to Bill, is looking to move off of the nickname Trace.
Hot Take Hickey.
Now, he's not come up with a new one.
He doesn't need
wants
to come
it
up
to
with
be
anything.
organic to the show.
Oh, stop.
And so we are currently...
What are you going to be, Pretty Hickey?
I will not know. And I'll not be changing my Twitter handle to Pretty Hickey.
Yeah, you don't want to be whipped in that relationship, all right? You don't want to be like Bill Belichick, right?
Well,
you know Bill would be the Jordan Hudson in that relationship. You do not want to be Bill Belichick at this point. I did text Bill Belichick today.
Really? His actual number?
His actual number.
Are you sure it's his number?
I got it.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
You texted Jordan Hudson.
No. This is Bill Belichick's personal cell phone. Maybe Jordan Hudson's now in charge of that.
I would be shocked if she's not.
But I got this from someone that I very well trust, and I wanted to reach out to Bill because I made some news yesterday about Bill Belichick.
Okay.
My cousin, I didn't know this. He was at NYU yesterday, bought a ticket to hear Bill Belichick speak. Bill Belichick was doing like a book event and promoting the book. So he sends me a video. It's our guy, Bill Belichick. And I go, can I tweet this out? So I go, here's Bill Belichick in a suit, right? Bill Belichick doing a talk today. I'm told you had to write down questions and they pick if they're going to read your question or not.
God.
And Bill Belichick did I think it was like a 45 to an hour chat. Florio, last night I'm walking at a Yankees game. I get an alert. Florio wrote a whole article about it. How Zach Gelb's cousin was at this event and there was no sign of his girlfriend, publicist, and book promoter in Jordan Hudson at the event. Now, she may have been backstage, right, approving all the questions and things like that. Who knows?
I'm sure.
But my cousin said you could not see her at the event. So I reached out to Bill. First and foremost, said thank you for the 6 championships and the life-changing experiences that you brought to me. And I said that's an understatement. I go, I think you would really enjoy an interview led by me. I want to read your book over the weekend. If you agree to come on, I'll make sure I read it and do an interview about the book because that's what Bill Belichick wants.
Okay.
An interview about the book. And would I maybe ask him some other questions if things are left out of the book? Absolutely. But I said would love if you have 20 minutes. Would love it. And I even dropped, even though the gentleman is no longer alive, I said I am a Temple Owl alum. And Wayne Harden, who used to employ his father, would always speak glowingly about Bill. And I know Bill loved Coach Wayne Harden. I remember Coach Harden in his later years telling me about how much respect he has for Bill Belichick. So I threw a little football, like bizarre football history there, thinking Bill would respond.
And what did Jordan say back?
I haven't got a response back yet. Yeah.
Maybe she's still reading it. It sounds like a long text. Maybe she wants to, absorb it all. Maybe she's doing some research. Maybe she's listening right now to the show.
It's a possibility.
Trying to test out the water, see what kind of show this is, and see, is this right for my guy?
Now, to be fair, Bill is a very busy man.
Very.
Right? 8:33 a.m. Eastern time. He may have been on his way to daycare to drop off Jordan Hudson. Also, he has to run a football team, and he has a book tour. So it's 8:33 a.m. Eastern time was when I sent this text.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens. If I don't hear anything back by 8:33 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, then I don't think I'm getting a response.
No, I think you should give it at least a week.
You think I'll at least get a response?
No. I'm just saying I would not call. I would keep your hopes up for about a week. I think Bill would be a slow responder.
So here's what I'm saying. I actually, you know what? I'll reword this. I think I'm getting a response. You may be right. It may be in a week. If he's going to do it, if he's going to do the interview, I think I would get a response in 24 hours. If he's not, I think I will get a response. Appreciate the text. I don't have a lot of time. We only have a few commitments for this, and they're already booked up. Love your story about Wayne Harden. My dad learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from him. All the best, BB. That's what I think I'm going to get.
You think you're going to get that? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And I sent in my text message at the end, my sign-off, I said, thanks, ZG. Do a little BBZG play right there. See if it works.
Chums in the water. See if the fish bites.
Hey.
What's the worst that happens?
The worst thing that could happen. I speak to so many youngsters, right? For some reason, they invite me to all these things. I'll speak about your radio career. I'm like, why? Why would you want me to speak? Okay, I'm honored to do it. And I tell every single youngster that I say, the worst thing somebody could tell you is no. How did I have all this great access for all these years? I asked. Can I get a credential for the Flyers game? Can I get a credential for the Eagles game? Can I put in a request to send their college radio station to the Super Bowl? I just asked. And sometimes people say yes, and a lot of times people say no. So I have all the respect in the world for Bill Belichick. I think we'd have a wonderful conversation. I think we would talk about long snapping.
Okay.
Asking,
that would be filibuster 10 minutes out the down the drain.
What's your dating app preference? Your Raya guy? Hinge guy?
Raya? Is that a new one?
That's how we know you're not big time. Do you know what Raya is?
I don't, but I have to ask a question.
Hold on. Do you know what Raya is?
Never heard of it.
Raya is kind of for famous people dating.
You're on a famous dating app?
I didn't say that. I'm just saying you have to get approved to be on Raya.
Interesting.
And
I think kind of a good idea.
A little higher status.
It's hard as a celebrity, I'm sure, to find a true partner. That's a good idea.
Could you imagine if Belichick is on Raya and someone gets whoever's job that is to approve it? It's like, this can't actually be Belichick. But you have to upload your license and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah. What was your question, Samter?
I just want to know what's more likely, Belichick responding to you and coming on the show, or LeBron joining Shep on his show?
Oh, by far and away, Belichick responding to me and coming on this show.
I just like it. You got to ask, what's the worst that could happen? No?
Now, to be fair, if Belichick doesn't get back to me or declines, I'm not going to spend 3 hours ripping Bill Belichick, all right? I'm not going to sit here and be like, you can't have it both ways, Belichick. How dare you?
I think you should. That'd be great radio.
No,
that's what the people here deserve.
He's not your coach anymore. Go after
Bill.
That's
right.
And that's why you're producing Bill Ryder and not me. All right? We don't want your ideas.
These are great ideas.
So, how's the new show been? Good?
A lot of fun so far. 3 days in. Haven't screwed up too much, at least. So, yeah, place is still alive. Lights are on.
That's not what Bill says.
I'll tell you. I want a little tension between Hickey and Ryder.
Why?
I don't know. I think it'd be fun. Give us something to talk about.
Fun for who?
Now.
Be
fun for us at the network here.
How would their tension be created?
I'm just saying. I just hope that you guys have a little fight. Nothing crazy. I love you. I love Bill. I just little crazy.
Okay, I hope you and Samter are fighting then.
That would be a factual statement every day.
Let's just turn Infinity Sports Network into one gigantic WWE match.
Wow.
And everyone, the hosts are all fighting the producers. Perloff's taking on EJ.
100 of me taking on Gelb.
Yeah, now we're talking.
Did you see that? Did you see that photo?
I didn't. The photo, no.
100 Samters against one me.
You know what? I did see that.
Who'd win?
Oh, Samter easily.
Oh, you're an idiot.
Yes.
I actually said that to him before.
Oh, wait, actually, thank you. Put all your money on me now.
Damn it! That's a good point.
Sorry, Samter.
Hickey actually said 5 to 7 Samters would take you down.
I agree with that. It's a numbers game.
I handicapped it at 10, but 5 to 7.
Penn State education obviously does.
Now listen, if
does
you
not
really
make you
do
have a
want to
brain.
start some drama between Hickey and Ryder, there was that time a few weeks ago where Hickey said that he knows more about basketball than Bill does.
No.
Do you remember when he said that?
Let's be real. If Hickey and Bill are getting in a fight, it's like over hair gel. Both of them have great hair, if we're being honest.
Stirring the pot over there.
That could
Everyone
be
is
your fight.
coming. Why am I trying to get in trouble here?
But that could be your fight.
Hair gel?
Yeah, Bill may get upset that now you may have the best hair on the show. Bill has great hair.
I mean, D-Cell set the bar very low before. So, listen, I'll take second place.
Yikes. Damn, D-Cell's just getting shredded today.
Why? What'd you guys say?
I'm just saying, the pretty daddy stuff. And then,
That was his name.
Yeah.
That was the name on the
where's your confidence, real quickly, that the Knicks are going to win this series up against the Celtics?
Out of what scale? 10?
Yeah, sure.
A 1.
Okay, so you're not.
It wasn't a
confident at all.
0.
Okay.
Last Monday before game 1.
Real quickly, Cavs, they're done.
Cavs are done.
Warriors.
Put a fork in them.
Steph now out 3 or 4 games.
Done.
Finished.
Done. Finished.
Okay.
Wolves win that series.
Thunder. Nuggets.
Alive. Winning.
Alive.
coming
They're
back.
winning that series.
They're winning that series.
Okay. Any other good takes you got here? Anything?
Any good takes on the spot about anything? Oh boy.
Come on.
Steelers should tank. That's what it is.
Steelers should tank.
Tank.
Okay, so you're not a fan of
Pursuing
this
Aaron
George
Rodgers
Pickens
means
trade?
nothing.
Okay.
No, I don't mind it, but what's the point of trading George Pickens and then signing Aaron Rodgers? Are you going for it or are you not? You're getting draft capital for next year for what? To finish 21st in the draft?
Can I make a prediction, by the way?
Sure.
You want to know what your next job's going to be?
My next job.
Your next career announcement.
Okay.
So you're working with Bill right now.
Right. That was my latest career announcement.
You're doing Sundays 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern.
Right. What's the next one? What's the
Pat Boyle is the overnight host here at the network.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Pat Boyle doing like appetizer bits last night.
What was that about?
I don't know. It made no sense to me, but it's fine.
You weren't involved.
I was. They made 5 appetizers.
I know.
for me.
You didn't.
Oh, I had no clue.
Okay.
But I thought just Pat was trying a little bit too hard, but fine. He's gonna find his way. Pat does a great job in the overnights. I think Pat doesn't do Gridiron Game Day, and Hickey is Gridiron Game Day on Sundays. That's my prediction. That's my prediction.
4 months out. Okay.
Yeah.
Write it down.
We'll get some mozzarella
Hot
sticks, some
take,
chicken wings, and some chips and guac. Right, the Pat Boyle experience coming on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Yo, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Coming up 20 minutes from now, Chris Denari is going to join us, Pacers TV announcer, as the Indiana Pacers are up 2-0 on the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know, we talked to Hickey about two stories, and I didn't really introduce them. We were just talking about them. One had to do with Pat Boyle. The other one had to do with me. So this was the article on NBC from Pro Football Talk. Belichick's second that anyone knows of event related to his new book happened today as scheduled. For now, there's little available evidence as to how well it went. Radio host Zach Gelb, who explained his cousin was present for the NIU community-only session, has posted a video of Belichick's entrance. He was wearing clothing, what a headline, with no obvious holes in it. Gelb noted that there was no immediate sign of his girlfriend, handler, publicist Jordan Hudson. Gelb added that any question to Belichick had to be submitted in advance. Hopefully no one asked something really intrusive like, what's your favorite color? So that was the article from one Mike Florio today. And then in response, I got Bill Belichick's number and said I want to do a book review. Now, didn't John Feinstein, the late, great John Feinstein, didn't he used to do book reviews, Samter? On CBS Sports Radio, where he used to get a book, bring an author on, and then do an hour interview. Now, I don't think Bill is going to give us an hour of his time, but I think Bill Belichick, for all that I've done for his career, you know, in terms of just me being a loyal Bill Belichick supporter, I think he should come on this network. I think he should come on this network. He should come on this show for 20 minutes. That's all I'm asking. It's not like I'm asking him to do an hour interview. Just 20 minutes. I know Bill, right, in terms of his career, as well as anybody probably besides Ernie Adams and Bears Nigerian. All right? I think we would have a really good conversation. And maybe I would interview Belichick in Belichick's voice. Maybe. What would you put at the 100%, Samter? Belichick responding back to me. Not agreeing to do the interview, just responding back to me.
7%.
7%. Stu?
I'll go a little higher than that. It might not be right away, but I'll say 12%.
Okay, I'm going to say 38% I get a response back. Now, what do you think the percentage of chances that he's going to agree to do the interview? Stu?
0.2%.
Okay. Tell me there's a chance. Samter, you'll be more cutthroat.
No. I think that if he responds, then he's open. So I started with 7% response. I'll go 5% that he comes on.
Now, maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to try. You know what? I'm going to tie my shoes like it's like Mike and be like Hickey here. I'm going to say there's a negative 45% chance that Belichick's coming on this show. So hopefully that means that I'm hexing. I'm doing the Hickey hex, little mush here. And that means I'll end up doing the show.
The one thing I'll say is Bill Belichick on the Patriots, no chance. Bill Belichick, who just wrote a book and is now coaching a college team with recruiting and getting your voice out and heard on a national scale.
Say, Matt Brown used to come on the show all the time. He's at UNC.
It might be a little bit different. You're a Patriots homer. You're a Belichick fan. You have a history with him and people within his history. Yeah. We're friends with somebody whose family used to own the Patriots.
Oh, yeah, that's
have
true.
An ownership stake in the Patriots. So we have connections to Belichick, and now that he's a college coach, there's more important reasons to have a front-facing profile.
Do you want to be elite? Coach Prime has been on this show. Kalen DeBoer has been on this show. Dan Lanning has been on this show.
And Coach Prime's going to keep coming on over and over and over.
Yeah. The pitch was basically would love to have you on and talk about the book once I read it, which I could bang out the book in over a weekend, and then also about the upcoming season for UNC. That's how I basically laid out this conversation. So we'll see if the hoodie, Bill Belichick, does respond. If he's going to respond, I kind of hope it's when we're on the air. Like, how awesome would that be? We have Chris Denari on in about 15 minutes talking Pacers. Chris, I got to update the listening audience. Forget about your Tyrese Haliburton take. Bill Belichick just got back to me in a text. And he used to work for the Indianapolis Colts way back in the day. Or, the Colts way back in the day. I'm pretty sure Belichick, I think that was his first job. I think he was a special teams. I'm pretty sure that's the Belichick knowledge that I may have.
Baltimore coach, 1975, special assistant.
Look at that. I'm just saying.
Just to go down the rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. So he started in 1975 with the Baltimore Colts. Okay. Before he got to the Giants in 1979, he was a coach.
I know.
With two other teams.
I know them.
Who?
Detroit.
From 76 to 77, he was with the Lions as the wide receivers tight end coach.
Hold on. I know this. And this was before the Giants?
Yes. In 1978, he spent 1 year as
an assistant. It was Detroit. Hold on. Just stop talking. I'll get it. Detroit. Oh, it's not the Raiders. Denver.
Denver Broncos. There it is.
Bang! Bang!
Double bang. Wow.
How about that? And then he was Giants, defensive coordinator, Patriots, Jets, Patriots. How did that order go? Because it was very confusing with the Jets and the Patriots and all that stuff.
It was before that. You're missing a team.
Cleveland Browns head coach. Cleveland, where he beat Parcells in a playoff game.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
So Giants, Browns, Pats, Jets for a day. As head coach. Well, I guess he was the DC for a while, and then Jets head coach for a day.
My dad was at that press conference where Belichick wrote on the napkin, "I resign as the HC of the NYJ." And also, Bill, you know why you should also come on the show? I'm 30. I could give you advice. I could help you out in the romance world, Bill. I could give you a little advice. I could relate to a 24-year-old Jordan Hudson a lot better than 73-year-old Bill Belichick. I'm telling you. I think Bill should do this. I'd be very disappointed if he doesn't. Also, did you see this Pat Boyle tweet last night still?
I
did you see this?
Sure did.
I don't understand it. Now, I'm all for trying new things. I'm all for having fun. and I'm all for continuity with the network. I think it's healthy, even though we're not all on the same affiliates. But like, if we're doing cross promotion with Maggie and Pearl, if we're doing cross promotion with Bill Reiter, with Rich Eisen, with JR, with Bart, with Pat Boyle, I think it's good, right? Like DA and I, we used to basically just smack around Mraz all the time. It was like fun. So Pat Boyle last night, who I think is going to do a kick-ass job on the overnights. This is not me attacking Pat. This is not me trying to stir up a beef with Pat, because I know like people are going to tweet Pat, "Oh, Gelb's taking shots at you." I'm not taking shots at him, but I just don't understand it. And I went back and listened, and I still don't understand it. So I guess they do the segment top 5 of 5. But the topic, and right, we do Take 5 Wednesday. Maybe sometimes the topics aren't good. But it was host's favorite appetizers. So Maggie Gray's, according to Pat Boyle, Super Bowl leftovers, Binghamton buffalo wings, potato skins, sponge candy, and beef on weck. Like, those sound like serious appetizers, right? So I guess this was a serious segment. Andrew Perloff, Dan Patrick's chili cheese dogs, insert favorite team nachos, Philly cheesesteak egg rolls, Dartmouth Dining Hall bran flakes, cauliflower cumin bites. Bart Winkler, according to Pat Boyle. This is a good shot. Giannis's first round exit baklava. You know what? That's a funny one by Pat. Brewers wild card exit bratwurst. Barter burgers, frozen tundra custard, and cheese curds. You know what? I did not laugh at Maggie's. I did not laugh at Andrew Perloff's. I did laugh at Bart Winkler. So I will give Pat Boyle a 1 out of 3. 1 win, 2 losses. Then, Pete the Body Bellotti, who I will say, Pete the Body Bellotti is one of my favorite people at this network now. I love Pete the Body Bellotti, and I think he's underratedly funny. I do. So Pete had the task of, I guess, doing my 5 appetizers? Buffalo wings made in Buffalo only. And then Pat Boyle, maybe we should pull this. Pat did an impression of me. He's like, "But how dare you do ranch? It has to be blue cheese." All right. It's fair. I know Pat is, not true to his takes at times. Mr. I hate Philly now is like Mr. Philadelphia. I'm just saying. He's going to Eagles games. He's all rah-rah Philly, love cheesesteaks. That guy used to hate Philadelphia. And I wonder why he loves Philadelphia all of a sudden. So it was buffalo wings made in Buffalo only. Temple of Doom chili cheese fries. I don't know if I'm a big chili cheese fries guy. Matt Ruler long hot dogs. All right. Belichick bites. This is funny by Pete. A 24 count. Pete, good job. And Patriots firecracker shrimp. Stu, am I lost here? I don't was it serious? Was it take the shots at people? I don't really understand it.
I guess it's just trying to be funny based around people's interests and teams and places they went to school, all that kind of stuff.
And hey, trust me, I've done unfunny bits at times. Something that I think is funny that it doesn't end up registering. Bogishes, according to Pete. Dave Matthews, Peachberry Cobbler. All right, that's at least funny because Andrew Bogish, I think, loves Dave Matthews more than his own family. Spinach dip, pulled pork sliders, giant pretzel with beer cheese, and Fordham Marketplace pizza. I'm sorry. I just don't understand the segment here. I don't. Now, here's what I like about Pat and Pete. I could critique the segment. They'll throw it back, right? But I won't think there's any hard feelings. Now, that's my experience with Pat Boyle when he was a producer. Now Pat Boyle is a big-time talent. So I'm wondering, is there going to be maybe some sensitivity with Pat where he gets annoyed that I'm not saying shredding his segment. I'm asking to understand the segment. But that was basically what I got when I woke up this morning. I saw George Pickens traded to the Cowboys. And then the top 5 of 5 Infinity Sports Network hosts' favorite appetizers. Interesting. Peculiar. Don't really get the segment, if I'm just being honest. Anyway, will the Pickens trade impact Aaron Rodgers? I sound like Bill Simonson now back in the day, where you just like BS for 10 minutes and then you throw a question out there. I'll give you my huge opinion on that. 888-710-4ISN. Coming up in about 18 minutes from now, another award-winning update from Richard Ackerman. Bill Simonson. What happened to that guy? I think he's probably still doing radio. That guy was funny, man. But anyway, the Pickens trade. Yes or no? We'll go around the room. Stu, does this impact Aaron Rodgers' decision whatsoever?
I do not think it does. I think he'll ultimately end up with the Steelers.
Samter?
No, I think the Steelers are making this deal knowing what Rodgers is going to do already.
I don't think it does either. I don't understand why you're trading Pickens. I get he is not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. It's the final year of the contract. But if you're bringing in Aaron Rodgers, shouldn't you try to put Aaron Rodgers in the best situation? So what, if he goes and gets Allen Lazard, would you rather have Allen Lazard or George Pickens? We know who Rodgers rather have, but I'd rather have George Pickens. Now, I do think it's interesting looking back at it that Aaron Rodgers was throwing with DK Metcalf and George Pickens wasn't there, and now George Pickens is traded. But this is something that was brewing even before Rodgers, and Rodgers technically hasn't even signed with them, because there were times last year where Tomlin would publicly speak about how George Pickens needed to grow up. And I need to take the job a little bit more seriously and be a professional. So you have George Pickens going to Dallas. All right, whatever. For the Cowboys, it gets them a solid number 2 wide receiver. They love drama. George Pickens will bring drama. It improves the Cowboys' chances of being better. I don't think it makes them anywhere close to being a bona fide contender. And you look at the Steelers, it makes them worse, but I still think the Steelers will be fine in terms of they'll be in December contending for the postseason. Ultimately, they'll probably lose once again for the 9th year in a row. They will not find a way to win a playoff game. But I keep on going back to this when it comes to the Steelers. Why didn't you take, at one point in the draft, Shedeur Sanders? And I understand, right, the Giants traded up. They got Jackson Dart. I would have gone Shedeur. All right, the Saints in the second round. You take Tyler Shuck. I would have gone Shedeur. But you look back, teams like the Raiders and the Steelers, when Shedeur was falling, and they didn't address the quarterback situation yet, why not just take a flyer? I know the Steelers didn't have that many picks. The Raiders had 3 picks in the third round. The Steelers had 2 picks after their first round pick, and Shedeur was still on the board. Why don't you at least just take a flyer? For a guy that was viewed as a late first round talent, and he was available in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. That's the part to me that I don't understand with the Pittsburgh Steelers. All righty, Chris Denari will join us next on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a look at the heroics of Tyrese Haliburton from last night.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Zach Gelb Show.
There are thrilling moments in sports. We saw one of those last night where, let's just be real, when the Pacers game ended, I don't care which team you root for, but you were stunned. If you're a Cavs fan, we've all had those moments. You sat on your couch for probably 3 hours before going to bed with a blank stare on your face. If you're an Indiana Pacers fan, you're jumping up and down like a fat kid in a candy store, and you're probably tired today because you didn't sleep based off the euphoria of that win. And what a job by Tyrese Haliburton and the Indiana Pacers. They're now up 2-0 up against the Cleveland Cavaliers as that series shifts back to Indiana. And their TV play-by-play guy is Chris Denari, and he's kind enough to join us right now. Chris, just what an ending and what a game last night. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, glad to do it. It was fantastic. I had the opportunity a week ago to call a similar circumstance in Game 5 against Milwaukee to clinch that series. And then last night, local broadcasters, we don't do the games. So I'm in my basement watching as a fan. And to see Ty do it again, to see the resiliency in this team do it again, the note was, since 1997-98 in the playoffs, teams were 1,609 when down 7 inside a minute. And the Pacers have won 2 games in the last week that way. And, last night, just a tremendous win to go home now up 2-0.
And with what Tyrese Haliburton has done in his career, don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here saying he's a top 5, a top 10 player in the league, but I thought it was criminal how earlier this year it came out that he was voted the most overrated player in the league. I think I called it jackassery when it did occur. But now for him to have these moments that transpired last year and then have these 2 moments in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, how do you think people should finally be talking about Tyrese Haliburton when they see him on a national stage?
Well, there's no question. I see him night after night. I've seen him for the better part of 2.5 years, and the change that he's made to the Pacers franchise since the trade with Sacramento back in 2023 has been remarkable. And I've got a list that lists all of the sort of clutch baskets he's made over time in the regular season and the playoffs. Now, it's 2 pages long. I mean, this guy does this on a regular basis. I think Indiana fans are used to seeing this happen. You think back to the game in March when he had the 4-point play to beat Milwaukee. I mean, he's done it time and time again, but I think, for the first time, even though people saw this team nationally a year ago when they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I don't know how serious they took him. And I think now he has opened a lot of eyes with just how talented he is.
For people that still doubt him, for people that still think there are limitations, what would you say to those people at this point, Chris Denari?
Well, I would say he's the ultimate team guy. I mean, first things first, he wants to make his teammates better. I mean, that's why he's one of the top assist players in the NBA. Sometimes he does that to the detriment of what he needs to do because he's looking to tee up his teammates. But this is a consummate team player. It's why this team is so good. Yeah, they have a couple of all-stars in Haliburton and Siakam, but the sum of the parts of this team is greater than just one person. Tyrese would tell you that. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think anybody that would watch him play on a regular basis would fall in love with the way he plays.
And also the other thing, I know the father's become a part of this story with what happened up against the Milwaukee Bucks. That's why I was really so annoyed what happened. I thought it was classless what he did with Giannis. But more so, looking at it from the Tyrese Haliburton perspective, this is a guy that's been waiting to have his moment, right? Waiting to get that praise. And I thought the moment after Milwaukee should have all been about praising Tyrese Haliburton. Instead, it was us just basically shredding his father. So even though I didn't like what did transpire, it's nice last night for the focus to solely be on Tyrese Haliburton.
Yeah, there's no question. And I think Tyrese handled it very well after that. He was very upfront, said he did not agree with how his dad dealt with that. I'm sure when they sat down and ultimately the organization decided it would be best if John Haliburton was not attending playoff games, I know the buy-in was there from Ty. I mean, he's a team-first guy. And you're right. I think the validation that we've seen in these last couple of wins in Cleveland, I think is really big for his psyche. I mean, he doesn't necessarily need that, but there's no question he feeds off that. And when those overrated chants started the last 2 nights in Cleveland, you sort of poke the bear. Tyrese likes that.
When I look at this series, I know that you could blow a 2-0 lead, but winning both those games at Cleveland's place, also with the injuries that have been piling up for the Cavs, did it feel like last night to you when they pulled the rabbit out of the hat that, okay, up 2-0, this series does feel like it's over?
Well, yeah, you make a good point. I mean, to win 2 on the road puts you in the driver's seat, but you have to take care of business at home. It will be interesting to see how Cleveland comes out. I thought they came out, even with a decimated roster without 3 of their top players. I mean, they punched first and built that 20-point lead in the first half. They had a 20-point lead in the second half. So if you're Indiana, you have to know they're going to give you another punch because they're trying to stay alive in this series. If you can win game 3, you put a heck of a lot of pressure on Cleveland. I really think the other thing was to the Pacers' advantage. They came into this series, I believe, with no pressure. Cleveland, the number 1 seed, 64 wins. I think Indiana liked the spot that they were in. And I truly believe they liked the matchup that they saw in this semifinal series. Even though Cleveland was the number 1 team, I think it was a good matchup for the Pacers.
I know you love this franchise, Chris Denari, right? You've been doing the games for a while. You said something earlier, which, you look at it, the TV guys, you get to the first round, and you don't get to do the rounds after that. It gets all thrown over to the national networks with ESPN and TNT. But you said you were watching the game last night in your basement. Just take us through, if I was a fly on your wall, what's the scene like with about 15 seconds to go, and all that mayhem was just really playing on out, which was a phenomenal night if you're a fan of the Pacers.
There are a lot of nerves. My wife has said she much would prefer me to be doing the games than watching the games with her. We have 3 dogs. One of our dogs, Izzy, is sort of like my dog, and she's always around me. And she did not want to be around me at all last night because she could sense my nervous energy, and she just went as far away from me as possible, and that's very unlike her. So it's difficult. I mean, I'm a hometown guy. I mean, I went to high school in this area, went to college just down the road. I've always worked in the Indianapolis market for the last 40 years. So being the television voice of your hometown NBA team is pretty special for me. And so I started many, many years ago as a fan. And so that fandom is with you. And when you're not doing the games, you know, it's tough. In fact, on Facebook last night, I said to this group, I said, how do y'all do it each and every night? I don't know. Because when you're doing a game, you have a job. And you have to execute that job. And those nerves sort of get pushed to the side. So when he hit the shot, there were probably... my neighbors probably could hear me. I bet you they could.
That's awesome. Chris Denari here with us. Just getting your thoughts about some other happenings in the NBA postseason, because I know you're a basketball fan. Knicks and Celtics, you'll see game 2 tonight. Celtics missed 45 three-pointers in game 1, but you know the Celtics team, there's a reason why they won the championship last year. I would assume you expect Boston to bounce back tonight up against a very good New York team.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, we saw the Knicks last year, a 7-game series. Saw them, of course, in the regular season. Brunson's been great. That Villanova group has been really good. But, yeah, I tell you what, I know Boston likes to shoot the 3, but I was very disappointed with their lack of attacking the rim, especially late. And I thought they got deep in shot clocks too often late and were taking some bad shots. It's amazing to me, and I think they said it's the first time ever, that the first 5 games of the second round have all been won by the road team. I mean, you just don't see that in the NBA. So New York did what they had to do, but it's exactly what Indiana did. If you can go get the second win on the road, man, you put a lot of pressure on that higher-seeded team.
You've been doing this for a long time. You've seen a lot of great players. When you watch Nikola Jokic, and, hey, they're up 1-0. It's amazing they're in the second round after getting rid of Michael Malone. They pulled a rabbit out of the hat, just like what the Pacers did the other night. But each and every night, you see these crazy stats about Nikola Jokic, and it just almost feels as now it's expected, and we know is the best player in the league. When you watch the Joker, what's your takeaway with your vantage points for all those years watching basketball?
I mean, he's amazing. My partner on television is Quinn Buckner, of course, well known for playing at IU when they went undefeated in '76. But he was Larry Bird's teammate in Boston, so he's very close to Larry. And he compares Jokic to Bird from the standpoint of his vision, his court knowledge, his court awareness. In fact, and this is nothing against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because he's had a phenomenal year.
Sure.
But Quinn said that Jokic is the best. He's the MVP. For what he does with his teammates on a nightly basis, we've never seen anything like it with a player that size. And he plays at his own pace. He's not fast. He is a remarkable player.
You know, there's a difference in being the best player in the league and then the face of the league. When you look at Anthony Edwards, would you agree that he's probably best in line and next in line to take that baton of being the next face of the NBA?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is a guy that can do it all. We've seen him up close and personal the last couple of years. He's had some big numbers against the Pacers. He can't have games, though, like he had last night.
Yeah.
I mean, that you can't score 1 point in the first half at home in a game 1 of a best-of-7 series. But clearly, he's a great young player. And I'm a big fan of the league, not just the Pacers. There's a brand that we're all a part of. And I think we have some high-level players. Sure, there's going to be a baton passed here from LeBron and Curry and all those guys to this next group. And clearly, Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, is one of those that can take this league to another step.
Yeah, now it's unfortunate, right? Because Steph was cooking, and people are talking about, what another championship would just do to further add to his legacy. And now he looks like he's going to be out for the next week. So I would start to think that even though Minnesota lost the first game, that they find a way to win this series. But hey, you never know when Curry's going to be coming on back.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest question. But Minnesota's got to do a better job, as all these home court teams have to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just very surprising to see this many road wins in a 7-game series in game one.
Last thing I'll ask you, just the quality of the games. Like the regular season, I just never know what to expect in the NBA. The postseason, I think the first round and now round and a game or two in some of these series, they have just been exhilarating. And I think they're letting them play, and it's been a really fun brand of basketball to watch. You know, obviously you watch the Pacers, you watch all these teams, you love basketball. What do you think about the brand of basketball we're seeing now in the postseason?
Yeah, I think the first 2 weeks have been phenomenal. I mean, the TV ratings that first weekend were the best in 20-plus years. I think people recognize the level of talent that is in this league. And I think the one thing that you have, and I did college basketball for 20-plus years. I was the voice of Butler before Butler and Brad Stevens made its run. But I think the great thing about the NBA playoffs, it's home court. It's not neutral. And I think when you tune into a game and you see people wearing the T-shirts and flinging the towels, that just raises everything to a different level. We've experienced that here in Indianapolis a year ago and early this year. I'll tell you what, Friday night and Sunday are going to be unbelievable at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and I think that's what we've seen throughout these whole playoffs.
What's your feel now, since you're not doing the games? You know, obviously you feel very good that this team's going to win the series, but how many games are you starting to feel like this goes? You know, could this be a sweep that we end up seeing?
Well, they've been very good at home. I mean, the only 2 games they've lost in the postseason at home were 2 games against Boston last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, and ironically, they probably should have won both of those games, and they played those games without Tyrese Haliburton. You never want to put anything past Cleveland. I mean, I'm a big Donovan Mitchell fan. They're going to give it everything they have, but I like where the Pacers sit right now. I'd like to end it in 4. I mean, let's just get it done with and move on. Hopefully that's what happens this weekend.
Are you a big food guy when you're watching these games now and going nuts? You maybe have a little beverage or something like that?
Not necessarily a big food guy. I'm a little bit too nervous to have food. I mean, and it'll be interesting on Friday and Sunday because my brother and his wife will use my 2 tickets, and then one of my sons will use them on Sunday. So I'll sort of wander around the field house and watch from various angles on both Friday and Sunday, and maybe have a beverage as I watch the game.
Well, enjoy it. We really appreciate you jumping on board with us today, Chris Denari. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks.
There you go, Chris Denari, the tremendous TV play-by-play man for the Indiana Pacers, who are now up 2-0 after the heroics of Tyrese Haliburton last night. Kind enough to join us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. We'll come on back. We'll update some of the biggest stories of the world of sports with some audio. We do a news brief next. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the playoffs continue tonight, but for Game 2, Steph Curry is out with a grade 1 hamstring strain. He'll be reevaluated in another week. As I mentioned, the playoffs continue. The defending champions Celtics and top-seeded Thunder looking to bounce back from series opening losses. Boston hosts the Knicks after missing 45 three-point attempts on Monday. The Thunder haven't lost back-to-back games all season long and take on the Nuggets in Denver. Baseball this afternoon. Right now, bottom of the 7th, the Giants hold a 3-1 lead over the Cubs, while it's the A's in front of the Mariners 3-0 in the bottom of the 4th. Mets and Diamondbacks are scoreless. Bottom of the 3rd, some finals. The Guardians with 8 in the 6th beat the Nationals by a score of 8-6. The Astros crushed the Brewers 9-1. And Sonny Gray and the Cards bullpen holds the Pirates to 4 hits in a 5-0 victory today over Pittsburgh. The Maple Leafs won't have goalie Anthony Stolarz tonight when they host the Florida Panthers. He was injured in Game 1, taking an elbow to the head from Sam Bennett. The Jets will host the Stars in that series opener, and the Jaguars release Gabe Davis. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Alrighty, let's listen to Kenny Atkinson. Before we do that, let me just tell you first, it's time to Ask the Pros. We, the listener, gets to ask us a question brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INFSportsCenter or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show. We might answer your question. You can think of O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Kenny Atkinson, he said the Pacers were very physical last night.
Every possession, they just upped their physicality. Again, grabbing, holding, we couldn't move. We ran out of gas. My only regret then is not playing more guys. We shortened the rotation. Obviously, that could have been. That's my sole regret. But I loved how we competed.
Was he covered in his tears there? That noise just sounded terrible in the background. He sounded so muffled and he sounded so dejected because his team actually played well for most of the game with 3 guys out. And then you just blew it at the end, and that's soul-snatching. I don't know, though, Stu. It seemed like in the beginning he was bitching a lot about the officiating. That's the way that I took it. Do you disagree?
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
His players were getting held. I don't want to hear that from a coach after a game. I don't think it gives him some great advantage. You're going back to their building. You're down 2-0. Do I think you're now going to get a hometown whistle there? Home crowd whistle? No, I don't think that's going to be the case. Let's hear Tyrese Haliburton. Thankfully, his father didn't try to fight anyone in Cleveland after his son hit a game winner. Oh, wait, that's right, because his father's not allowed in the building anymore. Tyrese Haliburton on his game-winning shot last night.
I'm at peace. I'm at peace with my game. Understanding that I'm trusted in these moments. I have all the confidence in the world to make these shots. My teammates and my coach staff give me that confidence, and just trying to make plays out there.
I thought the best part of the game-winning shot was the Sam Cassell big ball celebration that Tyrese Haliburton ended up doing. I feel like if you just said, "Oh, it was the big ball celebration that Tyrese Haliburton was doing," it's not really effective when you're saying it on the radio. I feel like you got to emphasize big balls that Tyrese Haliburton with the celebration, paying a little homage to Sam Cassell. Here is Tyrese Haliburton on his big ball celebration.
I've been waiting for that. I've been waiting for that, man. It was just right in the moment. Yeah, man, I've been waiting for that. I'll take that fine gladly.
Is that going to be a fine for doing the big ball celebration? That's ridiculous. Adam Silver, you're already a clown. You're really a clown if you end up fining Tyrese Haliburton for having fun and doing his big balls Sam Cassell celebration. Let's hear one more from Tyrese Haliburton. You haven't been hearing 2 tones from him lately. Sounds like 1 tone of Tyrese Haliburton. Did he hear the overrated chants from those Cleveland Cavaliers fans?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, that one was unexpected. I didn't know we had beef, but yeah, I guess that. I mean, good for them, man. That came out of nowhere, but it's just I think now that label's there, they're all. So it's going to be every time he plays somebody, every time on the road, he'll probably follow me until the next poll comes out, and then we'll see if I'm number 1 again. But for me, I just control what I can, man. Yeah, I mean, overrate that.
Okay. I heard a lot of different voices there. Ask and you shall receive. He's got to have some throat issue. Because you heard him cough in the beginning, and there's been times where he sounds one way in an early part of answer, a completely different way in the back end of that answer. I've never heard anything like that. Chris Finch of the Minnesota Timberwolves on his team struggling mentally from missed shots.
I absolutely saw that, and can't have that. It starts with Anthony. I thought he struggled early, and then you could just kind of see the light go out a little bit for a while, and then obviously we had to try to get him going in the second half. But I think it was one of those games where he kind of came out with a predetermined mindset of what he was trying to do, and just rather than just playing the game that was in front of him. So
let's go to Ant-Man Anthony Edwards. Does he agree with his coach's comments?
Nah. I feel like I played great defense. I just couldn't do nothing on offense. So, yeah.
Oh, that doesn't really mean you addressed the question. Okay, so his line of interpreting that is I wasn't mentally cooked on the defensive side, but then were you mentally cooked on the offensive side from all the shots you guys were missing? Because I do think it's a fair point by Chris Finch. Let's go to Buddy Hield and Jimmy Butler. They're up 1-0, but now Steph Curry's probably going to be out 3 or 4 games with his hamstring injury. Jimmy Butler and Buddy Hield had a little bit of an exchange after Game 2 with their victory.
No.
I'll start out.
No. I'm Batman today. I saved the day. He's still Robin.
All right. Well, I'm still Robin, yes. And Steph's still Batman. And Buttard is still who he is.
I mean, Buttard.
But you had another good game, man. Except for that stupid thing you did at the beginning of the game when you didn't have on the right shorts. It's not real Robin and or Batman like.
Buddy, what happened with the wardrobe malfunction?
Jimmy switched it out. It was Jimmy's fault.
Okay.
Jimmy switched it out, and that's what happens. I was looking for my shorts, and I thought it was right. When he said, "Yo, put these on," it was right, and that was good.
That's what you're going with.
Yeah, I'm going. Jimmy was Jimmy's fault.
So the slug line said that was hilarious. I don't think that was hilarious at all. I thought it was weird. It was like Pat Boyle's top 5 segment last night with all the appetizers. Thought it was hilarious, but it wasn't. Anyway, let's go to Lou Williams. Lemon Pepper Lou. Run It Back podcast, FanDuel. He is not ready to put Nikola Jokic in an all-time great conversation.
He's unbelievable, but we didn't make this argument for Russell Westbrook when he was doing this.
Oh, stop.
When Russell Westbrook was averaging a triple-double for 2 or 3 seasons, I believe it was 2 when it was going into a third, even had a 60, 20, and 20 game.
Oh my
we didn't make
God.
this argument for Russell Westbrook as a top 10 player of all time. So he's in an unbelievable run right now.
Oh, shut up.
But let's see what the totality
Stop
of his
talking.
career turns into.
This is
He's a
stupid.
one-time champion, 2-time MVP. But let's see what happens after
3.
this.
All right. Let's compare Russell Westbrook to Nikola Jokic, right? And you would say, Stu, Russ is past his prime at this point.
Yeah, at this point, definitely, yeah.
And Nikola Jokic is still in his prime.
Yes, for sure.
Russell Westbrook, 1 MVP. Nikola Jokic, 3 MVPs. Russell Westbrook, 0 NBA championships. Nikola Jokic, 1 NBA championship and a Finals MVP. Russell Westbrook in his career is a 9-time NBA All-Star. Nikola Jokic, who's only been in the league since 2015, Russell Westbrook has been in the league since 2008. Well, Nikola Jokic is a 7-time NBA All-Star. First time, all-time NBA first team. Nikola Jokic 4 times, Russell Westbrook 2 times. This is not to trash on Russell Westbrook. He could be a Hall of Famer. But you comparing Nikola Jokic to Russell Westbrook, that's just stupid. It's dumb. Now, I think it's fair to say Nikola Jokic, I'm not ready to say he's definitely a top 10 player of all time right now, but he's on that way. Like LeBron James, who's the 2nd greatest basketball player of all time, how many NBA MVPs does he have? 4. Nikola Jokic, just for perspective, already has 3. So if Nikola Jokic wins another NBA championship, I think that's when he starts to emerge in the top 10 conversation. And I think he starts to even take a few bigger steps up than just saying, oh, just top 10. And you know what? The way that I perfectly say it right now is this. Kevin Durant, would you agree for the last 20 years, Kevin Durant's a top 3 player in the NBA? Last 20 years or so, 15, 20 years, right? It would be LeBron, it would be Steph, and it would be Kevin Durant in some order. I'm not missing anyone.
I would put Kobe in that.
Okay.
Maybe Duncan.
No, but to be fair, I think
but those guys are kind of older,
eras.
late 90s. They kind of merged into the late 90s as well.
So I would say in the LeBron-ish era.
Those are the 3.
Well, I would take Nikola Jokic's career over Kevin Durant right now. I think Nikola Jokic already is a better all-time great player than Kevin Durant. That's how I think you start the conversation. Alrighty, let's go to Urban Meyer. This is on Sharon Moore's Punishment. This is the Triple Option podcast.
If you lie as a college football coach to the NCAA, in my personal opinion, you're finished. You're done. That's not making a text message. That's not going to lunch someone with you're not supposed to go to lunch with. That's not you send a letter when you're not supposed to. That, all the frivolous level 3s and all that nonsense. When they got you and they said, "Did you do this?" and they refused to cooperate, or they lie. In my very strong opinion, you're finished coaching in Division I college football or basketball, whatever sport. Guess what happens? The risk now is too high, and I don't think you ever see this kind of stuff again.
Remember that time he used to call Urban Meyer Urban Liar? And he's talking about banning people for lying. Okay, coach. Finally, PFT Live, Jason Garrett, the clapper on George Pickens getting traded to the drama Dallas choking Cowboys.
I think it's a great trade for Dallas. I really do. If you look at their team, I think they got a lot of good weapons. And for me, the whole thing works because of the quarterback. Dak can work with anybody. He'll bring the best out in everybody. There's a lot of really good things going on, but again, for me, it always goes back to Dak. He's the guy that's going to run the show. He's going to make all the different pieces work together.
Anytime Jason Garrett speaks, I'm sorry, I just start clapping. Sound like a metronome or something like that. Oh, I don't even know what he said, to be honest. I have no clue. I was just enjoying clapping anytime Jason Garrett speaks.
I'm just impressed you knew the word metronome.
Oh, I used to play piano.
No, you didn't.
Yeah? Oh, I played on Mean Moon River at a perfect score when I was in middle school on NYSMA. New York State Music Association test, perfect score. Yeah. If you put a piano in front of me now, I'd have no clue what to do, though. Like, I was very good at the memorization of it and all that. I haven't played in 12 years or so. But yeah, I played a Mean Moon River. How about that?
Moon River.
How about that? You weren't expecting that out of your boy. I'm cultured. Zach Gelb, culture. Take a time out. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
So here's news that shouldn't be big news, but it always comes with some controversy. So Shedeur Sanders is going to wear number 12. Now, Stu, just without, let's say maybe you don't know the story, even if you do. If you see that Shedeur Sanders wearing 12, so what, right? Not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
Like, who gives a bleep?
It's a normal quarterback number, yeah.
Why is Zach talking about this? So, I'm a Shedeur fan. I'm not as big of a Shedeur Sanders fan as Mel Kiper, but I'm a big Shedeur Sanders fan. I think it was ridiculous that he fell to the 5th round. Even with people telling me, right, people that I trust, people that I know, people that wouldn't lie to me, that his interviews were horrible. He didn't take the pre-draft process seriously, and he came off as unlikable. Here's my message to Shedeur. Have your camp lay low. Right now, I don't got to hear anything about Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur Sanders could be a very good quarterback in the NFL. I think Shedeur Sanders this year should be starting games for the Cleveland Browns. But you don't have to make everything a story. Now, I read this online that Shedeur Sanders, has a guy by the name of Boogie Knight who is in charge of Shedeur's social media. Boogie Knight, he went on Instagram and he did a story. There's no way the Cleveland Browns should have gave number 2 to anyone else, especially to a wide receiver who hasn't worn number 2 before in his career. But we knew that was coming, so we ain't flinching about it. It was expected. Take it, smile, then make it legendary. Keep going. I understand Colorado retired Shedeur Sanders number 2. I actually vehemently defended Colorado's decision to defend the number 2 and was a big fan of it. And I thought all these people, the Samters of the world, the Hickeys of the world, right, that work here at the network, that were freaking out, losing their mind over this jersey retirement, had a lot of fake outrage. Colorado retiring your number is one thing. The Cleveland Browns giving out number 2 to someone else and not you, you got no say over that. You got no control over that. And quite frankly, even though I think Shedeur Sanders is better than where he was drafted in the 5th round, the reality is you're a 5th round pick. I don't think there's been a 5th round pick in the history of the NFL that has ever been able to dictate what jersey number that they've been able to select. Now, to be fair, DeAndre Carter, he's not this sensational player. He was undrafted back in 2015. But if the Browns want to give number 2 out to DeAndre Carter, if he wanted that, Shedeur, you really have no leg to stand on here. And this could be the problem with Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur is a good kid. I think Shedeur is a good player. But I think it's maybe a good idea to surround yourself with some people that haven't always been in your corner. Because, fair or not, Shedeur Sanders needs the image reshaped a little bit. Because even though I've been a supporter of Shedeur, I believe in Shedeur, and I think sometimes Shedeur gets mischaracterized, the NFL told you, we're not believing in what Shedeur's been doing. We're not believing in Shedeur and his camp. So when you fall to the 5th round, and you have Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, who, let's be real, Jimmy Haslam made the pick. I'll take that to my grave. But when you have Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry both on the draft phone call say, hey, time to put your head down, time to put in the work, I don't think we need a distraction, or I don't think we need a story. And I know you can't control everybody in your circle. Like, for example, Micah Parsons' brother says stupid things, right? In this case, your social media manager, one of the social media guys, said a stupid thing. But the way that Boogie Knight views Shedeur is not the way the NFL and not the way that the Cleveland Browns even view Shedeur right now. So I understand using things as motivation. You could use that as motivation behind the scenes. You could feel disrespected behind the scenes, but publicly, I would not have one of my social media guys be posting, there's no way the Cleveland Browns should have gave number 2 to anyone else, especially to a wide receiver who haven't worn number 2 before in his career. But we knew that was coming, so we ain't flinching about it. It was expected. Take it, smile, then make it legendary. Keep growing. It would kind of keep going. It would kind of be like if I got passed over for a job. Like, let's just try to do something we all can relate to. And it was obvious, like, let's say I should have got the job. And management went with somebody else. Let's just throw this out there. And then someone in my circle got on Instagram and said, it's a joke that Zach didn't get this job. It's a joke that management couldn't see Zach in this light, but we'll learn from it. We'll make it legendary. Keep going. I would call that person up and I would say, I appreciate your words. You're in my camp, though. Have those words done in private, in silence, and we don't need the entire world to see it. And I think that's going to be a big problem for Shedeur, because this is a guy that has grown up with a camera in his face. This is a guy that is a content machine. This is a guy who I think he's probably unintentionally polarizing, because I don't think he does a lot of things that make me say, oh, I hate Shedeur Sanders. I like Shedeur. But because of who his father is, I think it's either you love or you can't stand Shedeur Sanders. I think there's a lot of people right in the middle. So when you become a 5th round pick, 5th round picks don't have camera crews following them. And I get it, right? The NFL is going to profit off his likability. And look how many posts the NFL made on their Instagram about Shedeur when he got drafted. So 5th round picks, though, and I know he's not a traditional 5th round pick, like they don't have these social media teams constantly posting about them. They don't continuously put out these videos. Like when Shedeur got drafted in the 5th round, they had like 3 cameras around him. So my advice to Shedeur, and I'm a Shedeur guy. I want to see him succeed. Lay low a little bit. I don't need one of your social media guys saying you got screwed over and making not getting the number 2 this big deal that the fact that you got number 12. Because the reality of the situation is, as a 5th round pick, you're expendable. So if you become a distraction right now as a backup quarterback, goodbye. They get rid of you just like that. So I think that this is very unnecessary. And my concern about Shedeur isn't the talent. It's not Shedeur Sanders, the person. It's everyone around you's telling you one thing. You need to be humbled by this experience. You need to find a way to get better. You need to put your head down. And I'm not saying you can't have a brand. I'm not saying you can't be in the news. But there's certain things that don't need to be in the news. And Boogie Knight, your social media guy, bitching about not getting the number 2 and how the Browns screwed him over. Like, it's unnecessary. I hate to break this news to Shedeur Sanders and his camp. You're not at Colorado anymore where you get to run the show. You're in Cleveland. You're an employee of the Cleveland Browns. And you're not an employee that's untouchable. And you haven't earned anything yet. You haven't done anything yet in the NFL. So you saying, we knew this was coming. We're not flinching about it. It was expected. Take it, smile, then make it legendary. Why are you getting so worked up over a number? And this idea that you're not flinching over it, you're clearly upset about it. And I will say one more thing to Shedeur. The legendary stuff's got to stop. It was sad, right? That was, we're going to be legendary. Legendary. When he didn't go in the 1st round and he ended that talk to his friends and family, legendary. It sounded so sad because he was hurt. He should be hurt. And then he fell out of the 2nd and 3rd round of day 2. And then when he goes to the 5th round pick, he's walking around going, legendary. Okay. Go make it legendary. I want you to be legendary. It's awesome for us. It's awesome for the NFL if you reach your potential. But not everything needs to be done for the camera. And not everything needs to be used as, oh, this is a slight. Like, what slight is this, Cleveland? They gave you number 12. They didn't give you number 2. They gave number 2 to, yes, a no-name, but someone who has been in the NFL since 2015. I've never heard of a 5th-round pick that's been able to walk in and be like, I need number 2. I get number 2. Oh, you don't give me number 2. You're screwing me over. Never heard of that. And I would tell Boogie Knight, lay low a little bit. Because I don't think you're doing Shedeur Sanders any favors right now, because I know how this works. People are looking to attack Shedeur. People are looking to say, see, told you so, distraction. And a number shouldn't be a distraction. A number shouldn't be 12 minutes. That's pretty good by me. Got the number 12. He spent 12 minutes on this on a national radio show. It just shouldn't be. All righty, let's get back to the biggest story of the day, which I'll go around the room here. If you had to describe the George Pickens trade, going from the Steelers to the Cowboys, if you had to describe it in a few words, your feelings on it. Stu, how would you describe the George Pickens trade with the Steelers saying the juice ain't worth the squeeze anymore and they send them to the drama Dallas choking Cowboys who finally elected to be selectively aggressive?
I would say kind of pointless. I think for the Cowboys' sake, I don't think this makes them a contender. Might even not make them a playoff team. Mm-hmm. And then for the Steelers, okay, I understand he's a bit of a headache. You want to get him away. But he's in his last year. I just don't know what their plan is. I don't understand why you don't keep him for one more year. It's not like you got this great haul for him. So I think for both, it's just kind of pointless.
Samter, how would you describe it?
weird timing. Like, honestly, just weird timing. I'm fine with the trade. I'm fine with the Steelers making the move and getting rid of Pickens. I'm fine with the Cowboys having to add a second receiver. But to do it after the draft and before Rodgers makes his decision, there's a lot of questions here. Because now, okay, what are they doing at quarterback? And if Rodgers does come in, who's his number 2 wide receiver? They already got rid of their top running back in Najee Harris. So there's a lot of questions from that side of it. And from the Cowboys, they went into the draft, and maybe they knew this trade was coming. They went into the draft. They didn't really look at receivers in the draft. And Jerry Jones talked about, maybe things are coming down the road. Maybe they knew they were making this deal. But if they did, then why are they doing it now? It just doesn't make any sense to me. The Steelers didn't fill in the position. They're getting draft picks for next year. So if you bring Rodgers in, it's not going to help the team this year. It just doesn't make sense for short term.
And some of these draft picks are 2027 too. So it's like, whatever. Here's the thing. Let's look at it from the Steelers' perspective. Mike Tomlin did not want to have to coach George Pickens anymore. I think why a deal didn't go down at the draft is they tried to get a second-round pick. Once they didn't get a second-round pick, they said, all right, let's have the third round come and go. And then after that, we'll try to see if maybe we could work some magic after the draft to get some conditions to make a 3 turn into 2. Obviously, they were unsuccessful in doing that. Also, I don't know if this is true, but Andrew Filipponi, who I like, and does the afternoon show in Pittsburgh, he was on with Maggie and Perloff this morning. And Andrew Filipponi said this: I don't think Aaron Rodgers wanted to play with George Pickens. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know what information Pony was given that made him say that. But that's Andrew Filipponi saying it. So take it for what it's worth. But if you already had a coach who didn't want Pickens, and then the quarterback didn't want Pickens, those are 2 pretty powerful people, which is kind of funny because the quarterback is not even on the team yet. But could that have played a factor? I guess it's plausible. I just think this was not a matter of if George Pickens was going to get traded. It was a matter of when, because Mike Tomlin was donezo with him. So that's the Steelers side of it. Now, I can understand the other part of it. If you're Pittsburgh, you basically get back a third-round pick. Why not just have him play one more year and you basically get a compensatory pick if he walks, or maybe he grows up and then you give him a contract? I think the Steelers thought that he was detrimental to the locker room. I really did. And that his talent isn't what he thinks he is, and we're not going to put up with it. But on the other side for the Cowboys, it finally makes them in the news for a positive reason. Because last year they said they were going to be all in. They didn't find a way to get a deal done. They did nothing last year. This year they said they're going to be selectively aggressive. They haven't been aggressive at all this offseason. This is them finally being aggressive. And it gives you a year of CeeDee Lamb and Pickens, and maybe a year from now, Jerry Jones, who loves drama over winning, says, oh, I like the drama of George Pickens. George Pickens had another year. I'll be the one that gives him a 4-year contract. But overall, the way I describe this, you have the Cowboys driving, and you have the Steelers driving. And they're driving. And they get inside a neighborhood. And they keep on wanting to go north, both these teams. Maybe they want to go to San Francisco, I believe is where the Super Bowl is this year. And they're driving, and they're driving, and they're driving. But they make a wrong turn. They go through a neighborhood, and they see a dead end sign. Now, maybe they're driving together. Maybe George Pickens gets out of the car and says, we're going to go drive with the Dallas Cowboys instead of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But if you're still driving straight, you're not going anywhere. And that's where the Steelers and the Cowboys are right now. They're driving. They're efficiently driving, but they're not getting to that destination. Because for years, the Steelers used to be an organization that we judge them, do you got Super Bowls? We judge them, are you competing for the Super Bowl? They got 6 of them. The Dallas Cowboys, for a long time, Super Bowl, America's team. Now, these 2 once proud franchises, I think the Steelers are still viewed in a very positive light. I still think we give the Steelers the benefit of the doubt. The Cowboys, they make all this money, but our belief in them actually being great, that benefit of the doubt is gonzo. It's done. It's finished. When you haven't got to a Super Bowl and NFC Championship game since 1995, that season. The Steelers, Mike Tomlin's a good coach. If he got fired tomorrow, he'd have a job in a second. But when you go through 8 seasons in Pittsburgh, not winning a playoff game, that's a bad job. So both these teams made moves today. The Steelers could still get to the playoffs. The Cowboys could still get to the playoffs. But are either actually getting closer to your destination of hoisting another Lombardi trophy? And I'll give you that answer. Heck no. These teams are nowhere close. They're good. They're not very good. They're good. They're not great. And you look at teams like the Steelers, the Cowboys, I think the Dolphins are also there. They're stuck. And that's probably the worst position you could be in the NFL, where you have enough talent where you could maybe just get in the playoffs or just miss it. But you aren't great enough or good enough to get to a Super Bowl or get to a conference championship game. But you're also not bad enough where you could go get a young quarterback in the draft, like a team like the Steelers need. Now, the Dolphins already paid Tua, and the Cowboys already paid Dak. And that's a problem. Like, people ask me right now, I'm a Patriot fan. Won 6 Super Bowls. You may have heard that from time to time. Last year, I was not happy with the team. This year, do I expect the Patriots to be great? No. But the Patriots at least being bad, I could do a proper rebuild now with Mike Vrabel, where my timeline is now different. It's year 1, wash. Year 2, get better. Year 3, go be a contender. And after year 3, if they're not in contending status, then I could start to rip them and I could start to say this ain't working. But teams like the Steelers and teams like the Cowboys and teams like the Dolphins right now, there's not this goal of eventually rebuilding where you get back to championship status. Because you're not great and you're not bad enough where the pressure's kind of off and you could get a few years to just muck it up and get a lot of guys in and build that team chemistry and build something. But because you go get your 9-10 wins a year, everyone's like, oh, yeah, they're fine. Yeah, they're there. But you're just stuck in the middle. I'd rather be down and out with a chance to only go up, or I'd rather be in the penthouse. I don't want to be stuck on the 10th floor and in a room where I'm like, oh, I'm close to taking the elevator up to the penthouse. I'm also close to going down to the lobby. I don't want to be stuck in the middle. I either want to be great or I want to be bad enough so I have the tools and the resources to build it back up and become great. I know what Stu's saying. Oh, my team's been bad for a long time. They haven't been able to build it back up. Oh, Stu, I can't help you with your Raiders. I apologize on that. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a time out. We'll do a Take 5 Wednesday next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The football season might be over.
What? Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is.
But don't you worry, there are still rankings to be made. So get ready as Zach gives you his top 5 in this week's special edition of Take 5 Wednesday.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Alrighty, here's the topic today. Off the drama Dallas choking Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers making a trade for George Pickens. Who are the 5 best wide receiver duos in the NFL? Now, Stu, I always listen to you. 1 through 5 or 5 through 1? How do you want me to read off this list? What do you want me to go with first?
I think you could go 5 to 1.
Okay. In at number 5, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So Mike Evans is somehow one of the more underappreciated wide receivers in NFL history. He will easily be a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame one day. Each and every year, he gets 1,000 yards receiving, and he's won a Super Bowl. The reason why this duo isn't a little bit higher, because Chris Godwin is a phenomenal wide receiver as well, is just Godwin is coming off an injury. So I don't know when he's going to get back, and there was a chance he was going to leave this offseason, and he actually left money on the table to stay in Tampa Bay. But I go Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, or I said Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in at number 5. And I also like that they drafted Mecca Ibuka. And I think that's a great trio in the NFL. In at number 4, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Now, Waddle is a heck of a player. I think he could be a number one on a lot of other teams in the NFL. Tyreek Hill, though, he's a speed player, and he's coming off a year where he had injuries and he had a down season. I saw he got another wrist surgery today. So maybe you wonder if the cheetah started to hit his apex in the NFL, and does he start to decline a little bit, or was it a one-year wonder? But I would put Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in at number 4. Number 3, maybe one of my favorite players in the NFL right now, Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams with the LA Rams, and you got Matthew Stafford throwing the football. And here's the thing. I understand there could be a little bit of age concern with Devontae Adams. This dude will have 1,000 yards easily this year out in LA if he's healthy. And Devontae Adams, it wasn't that long ago, we were talking about him as a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. Now, injuries could be a concern for Puka Nacua because he gets banged up a lot, even just the last 2 seasons. But I think both those guys will both clearly reach the 1,000-yard mark and then some with how much they're going to be throwing the football. You got to get a running back there, too, in Kyron Williams. And Higbee could be, as long as he stays healthy, a good tight end option this year in fantasy. But I love that duo of Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. In at number 2, it's A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith is another one of those guys, Smitty as they call him in Philadelphia, that could be a number 1 wide receiver on a lot of other teams. Skinny Batman. He's one of my favorite college players of all time. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Reggie Bush, right? You could go with Tim Tebow, Johnny Manziel, Vince Young, right? Some of these iconic college football players. Devontae Smith, to me, he caught a walk-off touchdown in overtime in a national championship game. And I don't even know if that's his career highlight in college. And if you think it is, well, he won a Heisman Trophy and another national championship on an undefeated team. So you could actually argue that maybe the walk-off touchdown national championship is his career highlight, and it's not the Heisman Trophy. Either way, it's crazy, and it's one of the great college careers that we've ever seen. And now he's a Super Bowl champion in the NFL, and A.J. Brown is a top 5 wide receiver in the National Football League. The two of those guys are the perfect complement, and guess what? Outside of this list, you look at Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, Puka Nacua, and Devontae Adams. I'll give you my number 1 in just a second. And A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, only one of these duos, both guys have a Super Bowl. Right? A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Tyreek Hill has a championship. Jalen Waddle does not in the NFL. Devontae Adams, he does not have a championship. Puka Nacua doesn't have a championship. And then at number 1, T. Higgins. He could have gone to a lot of teams this year in the NFL this offseason and be a number 1 wide receiver. He is phenomenal. And Jamar Chase is either... I'm going to say he's the second best wide receiver right now in the NFL. You can make a case he's number 1. I think it's Justin Jefferson, though. So I put Jamar Chase and T. Higgins in that number 1 spot, and they almost won a Super Bowl a few years ago. All they needed was their offensive line to get about a half more second in blocking on Aaron Donald, and then Jamar Chase was wide open down that right sideline. So my top 5 wide receiver duos in the NFL, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins 1, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith out of Alabama. I always love Eli Gold, their old radio guy. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. Alabama. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Waddle like a penguin. And Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Well, let's start with what we think is the best wide receiver in the NFL.
Yes.
And another very good one, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison with the Vikings.
So Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the NFL, period. It's his best duos. So the number 1 option, sure. Justin Jefferson has slightly Jamar Chase beat out. He has A.J. Brown beat out. He has Puka Nacua beat out. He has Tyreek Hill beat out. And he has Mike Evans beat out. I look at Jordan Addison. Good wide receiver. You know, won the Biletnikoff at Pitt. Ended his college career at USC. I just think in the second part of that duo, that Jordan Addison, he's good, but he's not in the same category as a Chris Godwin, a Jalen Waddle, a Devontae Adams, a Devontae Smith, and a T. Higgins. That's the part where I just don't think Addison is there yet, where Jefferson is all the way up there on the seesaw. Addison just has to level out that seesaw a little bit, and then they'll clearly be a top 5 duo. They were my first duo out, and it was the one that I felt bad about it, but that's how I justify it.
And you think about 133 catches, 1,800 yards, and 19 touchdowns in 2 years for Addison. He's just 22 years old.
Yeah.
So the ceiling is there, but you're right. He's probably not there yet.
Yeah, and he was good last year when Jefferson had to miss some games. He's a heck of a player, and they're going to throw the ball a ton in that offense.
Now, the newest duo, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens.
CeeDee Lamb is probably the third best wide receiver in the NFL. I think you would go Jetta's 1, Jamar Chase 2. Yeah, probably CeeDee Lamb 3. I would say that. So CeeDee Lamb is right there. But George Pickens, he thinks he's a number 1. He looks usually more like a number 2. He acts like Randy Moss. He acts like Terrell Owens. And the production is not there enough where I think the juice is worth the squeeze. And look what Pittsburgh just did. Like, DK Metcalf's a very good wide receiver. They said we're going to pay DK Metcalf and trade for DK Metcalf, and we're not going to reward one of our own because they didn't think he was worth it. So that, to me, is a problem. And that's why I don't think, just like how I talk about Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, Lamb is in that category. Jefferson's in that category. It's the second part that I just don't think is there yet. Addison is much closer to elevating that duo. I know this duo was just born than Pickens is, because Pickens has all that potential, and Addison obviously could be a knucklehead off the field. You know, there's been things, but he's not a distraction when he is on the field in terms of the sideline antics. Pickens, he could really ruin a sideline and ruin a team on the field just based off the antics on the field. So,
and a new duo that we haven't quite seen on the field yet, Terry McLaurin and his new teammate Deebo Samuel in Washington.
Scary Terry McLaurin is one of my favorite players in the NFL.
It's a hell of a nickname, too.
Now, Deebo Samuel, he got some issues with me. I don't really got issues with him. But, you know, his management still hates my guts. Oh, my God. Get over it. Your client acted like a clown when he was on this show, and then he hung up the phone and threw his phone at his handler. Like, come on. You know, now you sit in there and you're like, oh, we can't put anyone on with Zach. And you go out of your way to, like, cancel interviews on us that, you know, you approve and then you don't. It's ridiculous, but whatever. Deebo Samuel, he's banged up. I think it's a good move by the Commanders. You know, I won't let personal feelings maybe get in the way. I thought it was a good move, but he's someone that he's so physical and he's taken a lot of hits, and I just wonder how much gas he has left in the tank, and I have questions on Deebo Samuel as a number 2 option now in the NFL. I think it was worth it, the trade, but as a top 5 1-2 punch, McLaurin's there. Deebo, too many question marks with him.
A couple more. This might be another not quite there yet, but DJ Moore and Rome Odunze with the Bears.
DJ Moore is fantastic. Rome Odunze had a very disappointing year 1.
Yeah,
I like Rome Odunze a lot. I thought he was the best wide receiver in this past in the draft class 2 years ago. And Malik Neighbors is looking like right now he's the best one. I wouldn't count out, though, Marvin Harrison Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. had a phenomenal season for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But this is a big bounce back year for the Bears. I don't need them on a lot of top 5 lists. Go prove that you can make these lists this year. They haven't proven it yet.
And how about Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams?
Amon-Ra St. Brown is phenomenal. He is. Jamison Williams, too much of a knucklehead for me, if I'm just being honest. And I don't think he's one of those guys, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. And I think he's also one of those guys, another guy that was rumored maybe they would move off him in the draft. And that deal hasn't happened yet. I don't think it's that far behind.
You know, and there was a team that I didn't even think about putting on there because I couldn't think of their wide receiver 2 until I just popped into my head.
Was there a glaring omission?
Well, not glaring, but, you know, you mentioned Brian Thomas Jr., and I'm like, oh, who's their number 2? Travis Hunter. Now, obviously, we don't know, but Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter could be and become one of the, if not the best wide receiver duos in the league.
Yeah, can you play it down in the NFL, and can we see how he's going to be used first?
I get it. I'm just saying, keep your eye out under the radar target.
We could be sitting here doing a segment. It's not a crazy thought, but we could be doing a segment, and we could be, I don't know, we'd be like Pat Boyle ranking appetizers. And the next thing you know, Samter would be like, hey, you know, what do you think Colorado's football program, Coach Prime and Shedeur Sanders and Travis, what do you think they eat for appetizers? There's always a way that we find a way to work Colorado, Dion, Coach Prime, let me be respectful, Shedeur Sanders, and Travis Hunter into the conversation. All righty, we'll take a time out. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We got 2 games in the association tonight. How do I think they're going to play out? I'll give you that answer on the other side. Update time first. By the way, is everything okay, Ack?
What do you mean?
Yesterday, you and Samter were fighting. It got ugly.
No, I'm good. I wasn't upset. If he can't take it, the hell with him. That's, Samter number 3,
Well,
We were okay until that comment.
I'm just saying.
There are 100 Samters. One of them's not going to be happy. That's all I'm saying,
Ack yesterday, for people if you weren't listening, we got into this debate. 1 Zach Gelb or 100 Samters, who would win? Ack, who originally was praising Samter.
I'm still praising him. I love him.
Then just took a sledgehammer right to Samter. You just obliterated him yesterday.
I did? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Samter stormed out of the studio. He was like, bleep that guy. I'm done with that.
I'm not above saying I'm sorry.
I'm just making sure.
I could have had another line there, but I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to joke. Everybody gets a little sensitive.
Wait. I don't think Samter gets sensitive.
No. I don't. No, I was going to say I'm not above saying I'm sorry. I'm above Samter, but I'm not above I kid. Everybody wanted to hear it, so I went there. I'm sorry. See, again, I apologize.
This relationship is hanging on by a thread.
I was going to say there was some low-hanging fruit there.
See, I didn't say that. I don't want to get blamed. I don't want to be the bad guy here. I'm just saying. I think there are 100 Samters is a segment in the making in some way.
It could be a good show.
Yeah, it'll be a new podcast, 100 Samters.
100
just be me arguing against 99 versions of myself.
I think you missed the boat on the overnight show. Imagine if you pitched 100 Samters to management.
Get 100, pay 1.
Exactly.
And I think they would take that idea.
Fits right in.
We could get Samters produce. He could run the board.
Paul
he
Nanos.
could do the updates. He could be the host. He could be the co-host. 100 Samters.
I could be my own guest.
Yeah, you could do the podcast as well. Do the YouTube stream.
Calling in on line 1 is Mike Samter. Mike Samter, what's going on?
Could you imagine the reaction here by everyone going for the overnights if they gave 100 Samters the overnight job?
There you go.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall for some of those conversations.
You do know the one Paul Nanos story, right?
Paul Nanos, who did the weekend overnights right before me.
Well, Paul Nanos, I'll just be quick with it. Paul Nanos worked with me at WTEM in Washington. Yeah. They gave him the weekend overnight job in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
But it came with a catch. Paul Nanos had to do everything.
Oh, my God.
And that is in the days when we didn't have computerized commercials.
Sure.
Where you had to pull each spot and load it into the cart rack manually.
To load it up with tapes.
So they gave Paul Nanos a headset mic with a wire that stretched long enough to get out around the studio so that he could pull each spot from the cart rack and load it manually into the cart machine. And he had to screen the calls during the commercial breaks. And
sell the advertisements.
Yes.
Jeez.
So thankfully, there were updates on tape, and he would just tell the anchor, make sure it's a long update.
Are you a big horse racing guy?
I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
So
Paul Nanos used to do this bit. Do you think the horse knows he's in a race? Do you think
somebody else I heard say that the other day. I don't remember who, but I heard this conversation, and
I think it was on our show. We had this
that's probably where I heard it. I know I heard it somewhere.
There's 100 acts basically working here. How many jobs Zach has?
So I do to a degree.
Okay.
So because when the jockey's giving you the whip, you gotta. I mean, it's like we're not walking around the park here. Buddy, go easy there, will you?
Yeah.
You know. So I think I would say yes.
I think the horse knows he's in a race. I don't think he knows the magnitude of the race.
Yes, I would say that.
But then when there starts to be like a lot of bam chicken wham wham time after he wins the Kentucky Derby, or the Triple Crown, I know it won't happen this year. Then I think he goes,
I think the horse is talking around the stable. Oh, that guy can't win a big race.
Yeah,
he's got no heart.
He can't get over the hump.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't give that horse any carrots. All right, we're coming on back. It is Zach Gelb Show update time. Here, Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Well, the Warriors have gotten off to a good start this postseason, but have now hit their first bit of adversity. Steph Curry is expected to miss at least a week with a grade 1 hamstring strain. He'll be reevaluated at that time. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the NBA's best team in the regular season, and rolled through the first round, but they've come to a bit of adversity off their first loss of the playoffs, so they will try to even things up with the Nuggets tonight, Game 2 in Oklahoma City. The Celtics will try to even their series with the Knicks before heading to New York. Baseball today, right now, in the top of the 8th, the Mets have a 3-0 lead over the Diamondbacks, and Juan Soto has just made it 4-0 with his second solo home run of the day. The A's lead the Mariners 5-4 in the bottom of the 7th, while the Dodgers and Marlins are scoreless in the top half of the 5th. The Guardians had 8 runs in the 6th and beat the Nationals 8-6. It was the Astros over the Brewers 9-1. Sonny Gray combined with the Cardinals bullpen on a 4-hitter. Cards over the Pirates 5-0, and the Giants defeated the Cubs by a score of 9-1. I'm Rich Acton.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Infinity Sports Network. That's Infinity Sports Network to follow us on Instagram.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God. We're back again.
All right, it's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. This one has nothing to do with sports. Bella B in Calgary says, "Hi, Zach. What did you collect as a child?" Thanks, Bella B in Calgary. You can submit a question just like Bella B in Calgary by tweeting at INS Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Stu, I feel like you collected a lot of things as a child. Pokemon cards is my guess for you?
Yes, that was one.
Were you a Yu-Gi-Oh guy?
Not Yu-Gi-Oh, but Pokemon for sure. Baseball cards, Beanie Babies.
Showdown I liked.
Oh, you played Showdown cards?
Yeah.
Me and Gallo played those nonstop.
Bro, Stu, I'll give you a Barry Bonds card. Hey, just give me your Lunchables and I'll give you a Barry Bonds card.
That's what I get here, Gallo.
Yeah, that was our indoor recess. Whenever we had indoor
Little
recess at
oregano,
school, we'd pull those out and make some trades as well.
Samter, back in 1945, what were you collecting?
I was collecting cigarette packs and cards that were from mostly baseball cards. I actually went to a convention not that long ago.
Really?
To try to sell all of my old baseball cards.
Oh.
But it turned out that
Pay off the mortgage a little bit with those baseball cards, right?
The late 80s to mid to late 90s was like this influx of cards where nothing has value. Like they're like not nothing, but there are very few cards in that late 90s to late 80s to mid 90s that have like a lot of value. The most of the value comes in like the 80s down to like the 30s, 40s, 50s, and some of the more recent cards with like, the autographs and, the different bats and the jerseys and the logos and all that kind of stuff. My cards, worthless.
Kind of unfortunate because sometimes you see these cards that I don't know, like they sell for $450,000. I go, I need a card like that. I used to be a big baseball card collector when I was a kid. Showdown, obviously, like I just said. Do you guys remember the homies? The little caricatures? The little figurines?
No, I remember Cabbage Patch Kids.
I forgot the homies. Like, I just forgot they were a thing. My mom saved them, and she gave them to my niece, Raquel, and now she plays with these little figurines, the homies, and she loves them. And I had a friend once come over and steal my homies. And I accused him of stealing my homies. My mom didn't believe me. And then, after hearing me complain that so-and-so sold the homies, she called up the kid's parents and said, yeah, there's all these like figurines. I didn't know how he got them. So the homies were something that I collected.
Never heard of the homies before. Never even seen them. Stu and I have never even laid our eyes on what these things are. But when you talk about them, it's like you're talking about your boys.
Yeah.
It's like someone came over and like took the homies.
I collected the homies.
Yeah.
Someone took the homies.
I was playing with the homies, and then my mom gave the homies to my niece.
No. Yes, but some guy stole the homies. This kid came to the house, stole the homies.
Don't mess with Zach's homies.
I was very annoyed, and I accused this kid of stealing homies. My mom's like, "Don't do that. I'm going to punish you." And I ended up being right.
I always thought that Stu and I were your homies.
Yeah, well, it could be character. You guys are fit to size, both of you, with how small the homies
are. Hey, that was not where I was going. Hey now.
Who are you, Dave Sims? Knicks and Celtics. I like the Celtics tonight. I think the Celtics bounce back and tie it up. I'm rooting for the Knicks. Nuggets and Thunder. I would want to see Nikola Jokic win tonight. I think it would just be great for the legacy of Nikola Jokic to go up 2-0. I'm not picking up against the Thunder. The Celtics and Thunder both probably should have won game one. They didn't. So as this series after tonight will shift to Denver and will shift to New York, I'm going to say that both those series are going to be tied up 1 apiece. All righty. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Maybe we'll decorate the studio with the homies. Maybe I don't want to steal them now from my niece. She's like 2.5. Where'd the homies go? Uncle Zach took them. Uncle Zach's a meanie. I don't want to have to deal with that, so I'm just not going to do that. But maybe we can put a few homies in the studio. We got to get some more decorations in here, honestly. All I see is Maggie and Perloff. We got to get some Zach Gelb decorations in here.
Got some homework, buddy.
Yeah, it's in the budget, right? All right, we can just expense. All right. Oliveira will prove it.
Just go get stuff from your house.
Yeah, that's true as well. Chris Denari, thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow on a Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in. We out. Bye-bye. Talk to you at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific tomorrow. Peace.